All right.
So just
so you're presenting, which is perfect since you're the starting engine here.
the first leg of the sprint. So we're recording just so everybody knows, and we'll begin the presentation in about 4 or 5 minutes.
9:15.
9:15. So I'm going to just put this up there. If anybody wants to,
there's a link. Yeah.
If anybody wants to go ahead and use this QR code or the bit.ly, you want to type that in, that will give you, I'm just going to move this here a little bit.
I'll add it to the chat, the link. Bam.
That will be your, that will give you access to this slide deck and all the resources we're going to talk about today. All right, I'm going to step away. I'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Three minutes till we go. I just want to welcome you all. Hope everybody's healthy and hanging in there. There's the link to our presentation in the chat. It's going to start, John's going to do the first half, which is going to be really talking about accessible materials, what are they, tools to use. And then my part's going to be demonstrating how to use Adobe Acrobat DC and how to use Read&Write for Windows to make your PDFs so that they are accessible. And if you don't know what that is yet, you'll certainly know by the end of this session. So we're both, well, 2 more minutes in case there's people, let me mute. John, I was just giving a quick, and you can do it too at 9:15, that you're going to kind of do a nice overview introduction about accessible materials, what are they, and the basics of it. And then when it's my time, I'm going to actually do a demo of how to use the Adobe Acrobat DC and the Read&Write for Windows. You know, and depending on how much time there is. One minute. We just start with a quick intro, right, John, of who we are.
Good morning, everybody. This is John Millar and Cindy Feist. We're a little assistive technology presentation team. We get to do a lot of presentations together. We are both specialized instructional facilitators for assistive technology. And all of you, if you are a school-based employee, you have access to an assistive technology facilitator. And we are here to provide technology support, instructional support for students with IEPs. So, but a lot of the things that we do can be helpful to a wide variety of students. a lot of people. So all students can benefit from some of the things that we'll learn today and we'll talk about. And I'm going to ask everybody to save their questions until the end. We'll have a period of time at the end where we can address specific questions. And if we can try to focus on general questions for general situations as opposed to individual student situations or individual teacher situations, but you can ask us anything and we'll see, let you know if we can help or not. So I'm going to be going up here and I am about to start our show.
John, there's a question. Can you hide your meat bar at the bottom?
Yeah, so I won't hide that because I'm going to move it to the top, because then I want to make sure I can stop sharing when it's time, because you have to present at some point. So I'm going to move it to the top. Does that work? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, so
it works.
Okay. How do I convert materials to ensure they are made for every learner? Today you will see that we are going to focus on a very common file format of a PDF and some of the issues that a lot of our teachers and students are having with those. And now that we're in this distance learning model, we are going to try to make sure that all students have accessible material. So if you can use this QR code, or you can type in this bit.ly link, and this will give you access to this slide deck. We have a lot of extended learning opportunities and links to resources, and this will give you access to those. Cindy has also put this in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and start here. You'll see this slide on a lot of LCPS presentations. This is what we do. We try to give students opportunities to make meaningful contributions to the world. And today we will be helping students make meaningful contributions by helping their educational support staff learn how to make their educational materials more accessible. The last bullet on this slide addresses equitable learning opportunities. And some of our students use text-to-speech, and they require text-to-speech applications, and some of the materials that they're presented with are not always jiving with the software that the students use. So we need to make sure that we're presenting equitable learning opportunities. And so that's what we're all about today. How can the students make meaningful contributions if some of their teachers are giving them PDFs that they can't read? So first thing to consider, are all students provided with educational materials in a format that supports access to the gen ed curriculum at all times? So when we think about all the students in Loudoun County Public Schools with all the unique learning needs at all times, the only way that we can get to this is to use all the resources available to us to the best of our abilities. I haven't always known until I was forced to learn how to convert a PDF to make it accessible to all students. So today we're going to look at a couple tools that can help us convert inaccessible materials into accessible ones. So you're saying this guy keeps talking about accessibility. So we're going to talk about what that means. If you look it up in the dictionary, the word accessible has a few different interpretations: easy to approach, easy to reach, easy to speak with or use, something that can be used, something that is attainable. If I give some text to a student that has a learning difficulty in reading, and they hand that back to me and say, I can't read this, and I say, use your screen reader or your text-to-speech application, then they try it and it won't work, it's usually not a problem with the text-to-speech application. And it's usually not a problem with the student knowing how to use it. It usually ends up being a problem with the document itself, the digital material. So we're going to look at all the steps we can take to ensure that students can access what they need. In previous trainings, and move this down. In previous trainings, we have asked participants what accessibility means to instruction. And these are some of the answers that we've gotten. They're hundreds, but we picked out a few main topics. And we'll be focusing on the top three today. We're going to focus on readability, some of the material that students are presented with. We're involved in professional learning because the teacher has to know so that they can help the students. And in the world that we live in right now, the way that distance learning is set up, if you are a special educator, if you are a case manager, and you work with a gen ed teacher, you are going to be in a position to spread the wealth. So what you learn today, you'll be in a really fortunate position to be able to share with your staff. And we're going to be talking about ease of access for students. When we talk about how to make things accessible, or how to find materials that are already accessible, or how to convert something that's inaccessible to an accessible format, we talk about a few different questions that we can ask ourselves when we look at a document. We're going to get back to the one in red here that we're really kind of focus on today, but we need to start to look at, can items be magnified or enlarged for students with specific learning needs? Can the background colors be changed for someone that needs to have them changed or wants them changed? When audio plays, is there a corresponding text representation of that sound? And so forth. And the top one here is, if there is text, can it be read aloud by a text-to-speech application? Okay, so if you haven't looked at all the documents that we're sending out to students, if you take a really close look, not all of them can be read. And some students have accommodations that they need to be presented with accessible materials. So we're going to take a look at some of this today. This is a continuum of accessibility when it comes to educational materials. So on the far left on the screen here is, and this is kind of rated from easiest, like least amount of work, to the most amount of work. So the least amount of work would be like number 1. And then the most amount of work and the hardest work for the student to be able to access would be number 5. So we can talk about where these fall, but I'm really just this is just kind of an overview. Number 1 is the easiest. So let's say I'm a classroom teacher. I need to find some educational materials that are accessible, that work well with the software that my students use. And I go and I find something, I do an accessibility check, and everything works, and I give it to the student. And then learning begins, right? That's the 1 seed. That's option 1. That's what we're all looking for. And sometimes we find something that's not accessible. So we're going to talk about converting that today. Number 2 here is I'm a teacher. I create my own educational material with accessibility in mind, and I make sure that I scroll through all the questions I should be asking myself, so that when I create my document, it's ready to roll and the students don't have any problem taking in the information. Number 3, and I debate back and forth. I was given this continuum, but I debate back and forth whether 3 should be moved to number 2. These 2 should be swapped, because if I find something that's not accessible, but it's got everything to do with the lesson. It's exactly what I want, and I want to add it into my lesson. If I can click a couple buttons with some tools that I've been provided and make it accessible, that to me is easier than starting from scratch and creating it myself. So sometimes we don't always need to create. We don't need to invent fire. We just find it and we convert it. We make it usable. So this is really where we're going to focus today, is converting. Okay, you might be asking yourself on this slide, what year is it? Because this guy is sitting here talking to me about a PDF. I've used PDFs for decades. It's important to understand what a PDF is, what makes it good, some of the pros and cons, some of its limitations, because some of the materials that we already have that we don't need to create live in this format, but they do cause some problems for some students that are using text-to-speech applications, or if we want to make our PDFs editable so that students can annotate on them more easily, maybe even fill in the blank, and they can just get rolling once they upload it. So we're going to talk about PDF stands for portable document format. I didn't know that before I created this. I never needed to know. I just called it a PDF like everybody else. They're used to save files that cannot be modified, but still need to be easily shared and printed. So the reason that PDFs were created is because they're secure. But along with that security comes and not so easily played with when it comes to other software. So they're typically universal. So I can pull up a PDF on my iPad, on my PC, on my Chromebook, on my pretty much anywhere. They're easy to create. They're easy to almost anything. Any other type of material I have, there's usually an option to save it as a PDF. And what that does is it also locks it down with some accessibility features. So that's why PDFs were created. That's why we still use them. Those are some really great things about them until someone tries to use other software with it. There need to be some extra steps taken here. So how is a PDF created? When I worked in a school, I did this a lot. I took a piece of paper from a book or from a workbook or something that I downloaded and printed. I put it on the copy machine. The copy machine scanned it. I emailed it to myself. It came into my email as a PDF, and then I said, "Great! Look what I did! I just created this digital material. Now I can put this into whatever stage my student is working in, Schoology or Google Classroom or whatever. I can give it to them, and I've done my job." That is one way that a PDF is created. Today we're going to talk about an extra step to make sure that it's accessible. That's how I used to create PDFs. Once I found that, I use it all the time. Sometimes a Word document or another document is saved as a PDF, and then that lives in our one of our folders on our computer, and we have it there, and we can always access it. We can easily send it. We can easily present it to a student. Sometimes we find a PDF when we do a web search, or we're looking for a piece of material somewhere, and we find it, and we download it to our computer. But we really have no idea how that became a digital document. It usually didn't start as a digital document. Sometimes it did. But it's important to understand that a lot of times PDFs are created when we scan it on a copy machine or a scanner. It's actually taking a photograph of the paper, the hard copy. So the text that is on there is actually not text that we typed into the computer, which is more easily read by a text-to-speech application. But then that text-to-speech application is trying to read a photograph. We need to do something to that text to make it readable. So that's where we're living today. Okay, so we're just going to kind of regroup here. What we've covered so far, this is what we know. We know what accessibility is. We know that students need accessible materials. And we also know that PDFs are not always accessible. So we know what it is. We know that students need it. And we also know that we, as a school district, have been giving students PDFs that are not always accessible. Well, we can change it. So the question you might be asking is, can PDFs be converted to make them accessible? And the answer is yes. And it's by using a technology called, you don't have to remember this, but it's called optical character recognition, or OCR. So we are going to start to talk about using tools that have OCR features. We're going to use them with just a couple clicks of the button. The hardest thing is getting them on the computer. The easiest part is learning how to use them. So we're going to talk about that today. Optical character recognition, OCR. It's more important to understand what it does than what it's called, but it converts text within a digital image, such as a scanned PDF, so that the text can be recognized and then read aloud. So when we talk about, I'm gonna skip back just a few slides to this. This is the continuum. This is where we're living right here on number 3. So OCR helps educators convert inaccessible PDFs to accessible ones. So we're just going to learn today how to, and now is the time where Cindy's going to kind of take over. I'm going to stop presenting, and I'm going to allow Cindy to do her thing. You ready to roll, Cindy?
I am.
All right, now I need to stop sharing.
All right. Kicking in here. Share. You are presenting your screen. Okay. Oh, I need to catch where it was just left off, which was here. Okay. You see it, John?
Looking good.
All righty. So as John mentioned, there are PDFs that have optical character recognition, meaning that read the text to speech applications, and typically we use Read&Write for Google Chrome. It recognizes each character, meaning each letter, each number that's in the PDF, so it can be read aloud. While a PDF that does not have optical character recognition is simply a photo of the text, and the screen reader just cannot access the characters, cannot access the words in the text. So I'm going to show you, first of all, a sample PDF that does not have optical character. Let me go into present mode. Hold on. Sorry, Alan. Here we go. So, much better, right? Here we go. Okay. Sample PDF that does not have optical character recognition. It's opening up. The first Thanksgiving, okay, looks fine. Something, I'm going to go ahead and hide mine. All right, and I'm going to open it with Read&Write for Google Chrome. And if you don't have that downloaded yet, the previous slide or two had a link on how to do that. All of you and all of your students should have downloaded these. There's 3 extensions, and they all integrate together, although you download them separately. Once you open it up, they're integrated for PDFs, for Google Docs, for Google Slides, for Chrome websites. So I'm going to open this with Read&Write for Google Chrome. And here it goes. There's that purple puzzle piece. Okay. So it's working, and the top blue bar showing us scanning it, and there it is. So kind of like a fake. I was, oh, there's my read and write toolbar. I'm going to go ahead and use my click to speak. I'm going to click on it and nothing's happening here. Okay, even though the toolbar shows doesn't mean that it has OCR. And it even tells me, here's the clue. At the top, see the black bar, we can't find any text in this document. It may not have been scanned using OCR. So, So as John said, in the past, we've had a lot of kids with IEPs that needed digital, materials, and everyone diligently was, if we had paper-based things, we were scanning them, on the school copier and popping them in, and we thought we had it covered. And now we have found out that, oops, that's really a picture. But as John said, it's super easy to fix that so that they do have optical character recognition. Or again, as John said, there might be materials, we found something super cool, PDF on the internet, and I'm saving it for my kids to use, and it doesn't have OCR. All right, so what I'm going to do is close this one out and show you what looks like the same document here. Oop, yellow. Example PDF that does have optical character recognition. Again, just as the name says, character recognition, a character meaning a letter, a number, a word. Okay, so let's see this one. Looks the same, right? So I'm going to open this one with Read and Write for Google Chrome. And if you don't know how to do this, we have instructions. That's really not the focus of this, on how to use it, but your IFTs, we're doing, and CFATs are doing a lot of trainings in using Read and Write for Google Chrome, since we've gone pretty much digital with distance learning. We want all our kids, not just kids with special needs, to be able to use these tools. So open it up, drum roll. Come on. Taking a second. Hello. Well, that's weird, of course, right? You know how that goes, doing a presentation. And try again. Open with Read and Write for Google Chrome, please. Oh, much better. What the heck was that about, right? Love technology, right? Okay, so I have the same toolbar, but I don't have that black bar at the top that says there's no, we don't see any text here. So now I'm going to click to speak, because that is the read aloud feature in PDFs. And now wherever I click,
a legendary Thanksgiving celebration was held in 1621.
Now I'm going to pause this. I don't think you can hear it.
Yeah, we can hear it.
See, can you hear it?
Yep.
Oh,
it doesn't always work well in a Google Meet, but it's working today.
Beautiful. Well, thank goodness we got something going for it. All right. So you have tools here. You can pause it. You can stop it. You can pause. So wherever, as it says, click to speak, wherever you click in that PDF, you get text to speech, and the other beautiful part is you get it with highlighting. So that really helps a lot of people to kind of visually track as it's being read aloud. So it looks like the same document, but this is the one that has OCR. Okay, close that out and get back to my next slide. Next slide. Okay. So John showed you that continuum, and we're on that educators convert into AEM phase or steps. So Adobe Acrobat DC, it's part of Adobe Creative Cloud. Now, it's a little complicated now because technology, LCPS keeps kind of changing things all for better, but it's within Adobe Creative Cloud. So the first thing you have to do, if you don't already have it, is to download it. It's in the portal manager located on your PC desktop, and it looks like this little kind of whirlwind thing. I can quickly minimize and, okay, bye-bye to you, Ellen. Okay, and that's okay. Don't need that. All right, so here's my portal manager. Now I'm not at school, so it's a fake out. If I was at school and I open my portal manager, I will see that, hey, look what's here. Install Adobe CC Creative Cloud Desktop with Acrobat. So I would click on install, and we do have instructions on how the installation steps, and they are kind of changing a bit. So every once in a while, just keep checking back on this Google slideshow because we'll keep updating instructions, but that's basically it. But if you are not at an LCPS building, or sometimes you can pull into a school or the admin parking lot and get the Wi-Fi and install it. Okay, so that's one way. So I'll close that out, get back to my presentation. Okay, if you're at home, there is a company portal, and the way you find it is type in your Windows search bar here at the bottom, company portal, and we'll pop that up. I don't have the company portal, but John has it. And
can I pop in for just one quick second?
Please do. Yes, please.
So if you are right now typing in your search window for company portal and you don't see something that says company portal when you do the search, then you would, unfortunately, the answer to most of all those questions will be you need to contact your digital experience specialist at your school. For example, somebody not in assistive technology, but in EDI contacted me, and we did a remote setup, and they installed remotely the company portal on my computer, but Cindy hasn't had that done with her computer yet. So I have access to some of the things that are in the portal manager, and I can get those at home without having to be on that LCPS network. But Cindy can't do that right now. And if you haven't been through that, I'm not sure what schools, I'm not sure what schedule they're on, but if you haven't had that specifically taken care of, then you might not have company portal. But don't panic, you can get it. You just need to contact your DES at your school. That's the first step.
Right, important if you're working from home versus if you're not going to be in a LCPS building. And then John provided a link here as well. You want to talk about that DDI Support Center link? That takes you to,
that's a place where, so the DDI Support Center is where I would go to present an incident report. Sometimes they used to be called trouble tickets. My suggestion, we put the link in here, but my suggestion would be to go through your DES first, your digital experience specialist. My suggestion would be to talk to that person first. They might be able to place a trouble ticket for you or an incident report. And I'm wondering if they get enough of the same request from a school, if then DDI can attack it that way. I don't work for DDI, so I don't know. And we did want to provide the link because there are other things that you can do with this support center help desk other than just place an incident report. There are people to help you, contact information, and other things available. But my official advice is to talk to your DES.
Can you clarify something on this?
Sure.
So if you go to school and download the Creative Cloud version, can you use that back at home?
Yes, once it's on your school computer, yes, you can use it from home.
Thank you.
It's just the download installation piece that you have to be LCPS Wi-Fi to get access to the portal manager. Or again, you can try the company portal. All right, so here we go. I am going to show you, back to the slide. We have some links here. Don't click on them now. I'm going to show you how to create PDFs. Again, PDFs with OCR. So I'm going to minimize my screen. And I'm going to go, this is Adobe Acrobat DC, right? There we go. I'm going to click on it. It's so easy. You won't even believe, it seems like nothing's happening. That's how fast it happens. Okay, and again, this tells you step by step on how to do this. But the first step it tells you after you open it, top menu bar, you go to Tools. And all these tools appear. And what we're interested in is the Edit My PDF. Edit PDF. All right, now I'm going to select a file. So be ready to know where's that PDF I want to edit. I popped mine on my desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and select a file. And hold on. It's going to be my computer. What happened to my desktop? Hold on. Select a file. Desktop. And it's the first Thanksgiving, not OCR. So there it is. And let's see, look at the bottom. It's so fast. Page 1, upscaling the image. Press escape to cancel. Page 1, converting scanned page to editable text and images. Press escape to cancel. Bam, done. It's that fast. It says text has been recognized in the language, English. To change, you can change languages. I haven't done that. So if you have a document in different language, that's something we need to explore further, but pretty much we've been using English ones. So that's that. But the next step on the how-to does say that you want to go into the settings here. This is a one-time thing. See the right column here, or the right pane. Click on settings, and this pops up. And you want to select or check the box that says make all the pages editable, because that's important. If you have a PDF that has several pages, you need to do that. If you don't, it's only going to scan the page that you have open, the page that's visible. So I have that. I click OK. And then I never have to do that again. It's now my default setting that whenever I scan a document, OCR document using Adobe Acrobat, that it will scan the whole PDF. So now it's a done deal. File, you can either just click save and override your original. For me, I want to clarify which one's OCR and not. So I'm just going to go to save as, and I'm going to save it in my Google Drive. So you have options. My computer, you can save it on your desktop. You can save it. You have a folder of my PDFs that are OCR, whatever makes sense to you. Okay, so I'm going to my Google Drive, and I'm going to go ahead in the folder that called Convert Materials for Every Learner. And I'm going to title it, just to make it different, I'm going to type my first Thanksgiving, I'll say practice OCR. That way you'll see it's the same doc. All right, practice OCR and save.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Because I think I missed a step. Once you brought up your PDF that you wanted to edit, I missed a step before the click on the settings.
You go to Tools, right?
Okay.
And that's when you find, and it is written, that link that's on that slide does have these step-by-steps.
Okay, good.
Go to Edit PDF.
Uh-huh.
I can maybe demo again, but I don't really want, let's see, Edit PDF, and it just does it.
Okay, got it.
And the settings, like I said, that's that one-time thing. After that, don't worry about that piece. And then last, once it's done, because this one's been done, that's why nothing's happening. This has already been OCR'd. Last but not least, you go to File and figure out where am I going to save this so that I can upload it to my Google Drive, or I can upload it You know, Schoology, which I need to learn more about. I'm telling you that the 2 sessions when we're not presenting, I'm doing the how to add Schoology documents. But yes, because all this stuff is, all the tools we're talking about, Read and Write for Google Chrome, work in Schoology. That's the beauty of that. It's the universal tool. Okay, so I'm going to close this out. And I'm going to go back to my folder. And the one that I just did called the First Thanksgiving Practice OCR. Remember, it was not OCR before. All right, cross fingers, but I'm pretty confident this is going to work. Dun, dun, it's rolling, rolling, rolling. And, oh, there's my beautiful toolbar. Come on. It's been a lot of good again. Remember last time I didn't want to open the whole daggone thing? Seriously, stop. All right, one more time. See, there's no explanation for that. Why didn't it work the first time? All right, so there it is. There's my toolbar. Oh, look at all these tools. Right now we're talking about text-to-speech. So the click-to-speak, as it says, wherever I click, bam. It's going to read it out loud with highlighting. So that's so helpful for any student or faculty member, team member. And then there's other things too. I'll just give you a little tease. It's a typewriter tool where I can type in my name. And again, that's another lesson. So it allows you to totally edit it. If you have a worksheet, fill in blanks, you wouldn't be able to edit the PDF if it did not have optical character recognition. But since this does, I can pop in worksheets, you know, and then kids can type in the answers. So I'm going to say bye-bye to that. All right, so going back to our presentation. Okay, so there's the links to instructions. How to download is kind of in flux right now because they're kind of changing things, but this is the latest and we will continue to update this link as the direct. All right. Use Read and Write for Windows to convert PDFs. Read and Write for Windows is not the same as Read and Write for Google Chrome. Read and Write for Google Chrome is a Chrome extension. It's actually a trio that integrates. And we need it for our kids with Chromebooks. That's what they're going to use, Read and Write for Google Chrome. But we, as teachers with our school-provided PCs, can access Read and Write for Windows. Some of you who have been around for years, that's all we used to use in the olden days. And it still is an amazing tool. It has way more tools than Read and Write for Google Chrome. And one of them happens to be the scan feature, the scan tool. Now here it gets a little complicated. You know, it's always been you could download Read and Write for Windows through the public drive. We have the instructions in video format and text, but John had a difficult time downloading it to make it work. So we were sending emails back and forth, and it looks like DDI or EdTech is going to make this also available through the portal. So as soon as that happens, that's why I'm saying keep checking this, save this presentation, because we will update the instructions. And again, as John said, always contact, is always your school's digital experience specialist. But we do have print instructions as well as videos on how to use it, but you've got me, human being, that's going to show you how to do it. All right, here we go. So I've already downloaded it. I've used it for years. So it's that same purple puzzle piece, but again, this is basically a software program, while Read and Write for Google Chrome is a Chrome extension. But this is literally a software program that you download. So I'm going to open it up. There we go. That's encouraging. So at the top, there's the toolbar. There's actually a lot of toolbars for those who are familiar with it, if I click on this, this tells me that I'm in the reading features toolbar, which does have the scan tool. Okay, this is depicted on our slide, but I could go through this. This is the writing features toolbar, a lot more features. There is a research features toolbar. I mean, it's a beautiful tool, but it doesn't work on Chromebooks. Works great on PCs. All right, study skills feature toolbar. So I'm going back to, and all features, like every feature they've got's on that one. It can be overwhelming. The good news is you can actually customize the toolbar, so just the ones that you use show. So I'm going to go, here is again, the graphics on the slide, scan. So first, the little right arrow, the little drop down, when I click on that, there's some nice stuff here. One is, there's a video tour, yay. It's about, I don't know, 3-4 minutes, and it does an amazing job of explaining how to use the tool. So we're not going to show that because I'm going to do a quick demo. So I'm going to scan something that I already have as a file, and I'm going to scan it to a PDF because that's what we're talking about, accessible PDFs, and that's my default. Got it? All right, now I'm going to actually click on the scan tool. And it's asking me, what do you want me to scan? Doesn't really say what. Okay, I'm going to my desktop, and I'm going to that same non-OCR'd First Thanksgiving. There we go. Ready, set, open. And I'm going to save it. Right now it's telling, where do you want to save it? Okay, so I'll go ahead and still save it to my desktop. Okay, and I'll call it First Thanksgiving. Let's call it OCR, right? Okay. So save. All right, here it goes. OCR in progress, preparing image 1 of 1. Document analysis and synthesis. Export progress, done. Do you believe it? Look, on my desktop, bam, there it is. And there it is. All right. So a little off. I don't know why it goes off to the right. I tried to figure out how to make it center, but that's done. I'm going to just close it out. I already saved it. I'm going to close out my Read and Write toolbar. And now I'm going to go back to my Google Drive and upload it. All right. So yellow.
Can I ask you a question, Cindy?
Yes, John.
So let's say I were an educator that had a PDF that a student could not access. I go through this. What you just did, this process, this just saved you from having to find another resource. And it saved you from having to start from scratch and creating a resource. You were able to use the resource and convert it so that the student could use it and probably satisfy an IEP accommodation. Does that sound right?
Well, absolutely. And how fast was it? It was so easy. Both tools are easy. What's that?
The first time that you learned how to do this, I don't know when that was, and I don't know how many years you've been doing this. The first few times that you did it, was it easier the more you did it?
Well, it becomes automatic, but
Okay.
I have the default settings. So I already know that every time I hit my scan, I want to scan to PDF. You see there's other options for that scanner, but I just use it for right now the PDFs. And you can do the same thing. You have a Word document, you can scan it to a PDF and it will be OCR'd.
Because some Word documents are also not accessible, but we don't know unless we check them. And then if we check them and they're not accessible, we can scan them, go through the same process, and now we've done our jobs better.
Right, and then that drop-down menu is, it's asking, where do you want to scan from file? And I could have picked a Word doc, but in this case, I already knew I had a PDF that did not have optical character recognition, also known as OCR, and that's what I wanted. So now I'm going to, is that good, John?
Yes.
I'm going to upload new file, upload. I'm going to find it on my desktop. Let's see, and I just called it First Thanksgiving. Hello, I changed it. OCR. Okay. There it is. Open it up. Fingers crossed that it cooperates first time, not second time, but either way, we'll go with it. There it is. Okay. Looks exactly the same. So really it's what you prefer. I find both tools super easy to use. So whichever one you can install or download, go for it. So again, Click to Speak is my text-to-speech tool, and I can go anywhere in this doc. Oh, I really want to start at this paragraph. All right. So there you have two tools available to all of us that make it super easy to convert our inaccessible PDFs so that they are accessible, meaning optical character recognition, so that our students can use their text-to-speech tools. So I'm not sure, it's 10 o'clock. Do we want to stop for instructions? I do want to mention that Google Keep is pretty amazing. You can take a photo, pop it in Google Keep, and it will extract the text. Is that something that we should take time on now?
I don't think we're going to have time to get too deep into it, but okay. to address this slide, because it is such a terrific resource, I'm just going to ask a couple quick questions, and you can, for the people I can see, you can kind of nod your head. I'm just going to kind of guess, if we have about 50 people in here, I'm guessing that about 35 of you have accessed Google Keep before. Has anybody ever seen Google Keep? Okay, if you don't have to do it now, but if you ever go into your little waffle, you look for that little yellow light bulb, and Google Keep is kind of like an online note-taking system. You can just create a little note, a little reminder for yourself, and you can make it, you can put little check boxes in it. You can share it. It's easily shared with anybody with the same Google access. And what I can also do is I can take a picture with my phone of something with text in it and save it as a Google Keep note. Then I go through a process that's on the slide. We're not looking at the slide right now, but I can go through the process on the slide to convert that text into accessible text, move that to a Google Doc. And it takes about 2 minutes, maybe not even that. So I can use my phone, save it to my Google Keep, go through this process, copy it to a Google Doc, and then I can edit it. I will promise you that it's not perfect. So you will see some things that look like easily read text on the paper that come up as a percentage sign, an exclamation point, and a Z and a Q. And then you're going to have to edit some of those. But for the most part, it gets paper, turns it into a digital document that's editable, and then you can do what you want with it for your students. So that's a really, really awesome thing to learn about. Although we only have about 10 minutes left, and I want to talk about some.
Can I pop in real quick, John?
Yeah, knock it out. Go ahead.
So last night, I just took a picture with my I have an old iPhone. It still works fine. I took a picture of it. It was nighttime. It was a glossy magazine article. I saved it in Google Keep, and it worked beautifully. When I added to grab the text, it was super accurate. So then you have that in your Google Keep where it shows you, it'll show you this along as the text. See, this is the original pic. And then and then you could use your text to speech. Here we go, bam. All right, I know you said not to, John, but all right. So you can click on this and read your text to speech aloud. And as John said, you can also save it to a Google Doc, and the Google Doc will have your original image as well as the text that you extracted, which you can, as he said, sometimes it's a little glitchy, so you can clean up, your text. Do you want to switch screens now, John? Well, hold
Yes,
on.
I think so.
Okay, just two more tools. Adobe Scan is a free app for iOS. You want me to kick on these, right? Free app for iOS and Android. We have a lovely how-to video. This is great for kids, students. Both students can do these if they have, of course, an iPhone. I don't want to assume they have an iPhone or an iPad or an Android phone, but these are tools available, and they can on the fly take a picture if they're a restaurant, click on the menu, it'll be read out loud using Adobe Scan. And the same for Office Lens. It also takes pictures, and then you can save whatever your picture is of the text, and it will be have text to speech available. So I'm going to switch. Your turn, John. I'm going to go stop presenting.
Cool. So before I start presenting, I think you're still presenting, Cindy.
Well, it says stop presenting.
There you go.
Verified. Okay.
Cool. So I'm just going to hold this up. This is a little notepad. I don't know if everybody can see this, but a notepad that I wrote down some times and just some notes on. And I took a picture of this with my phone and saved it to a Google Keep note. And it actually did read some of the numbers that I wrote in pen. And a lot of them, it probably thought that the symbols were from outer space, and it didn't know what it was. But some of them actually were able to be put into a Google Doc as text, which is really, really neat. All right, so we just have a couple more slides left. And we're here, we're just going to recap a little bit. So here's what we learned, what we talked about today. You probably already knew a lot of this. We found out what accessibility is when it comes to educational materials. And it all relates back to equitable learning opportunities for all students. We found out, we agreed that students need accessible materials. There are some students that require them, maybe in a document, maybe a signed IEP, and there's some students that could benefit from the same ones. So we can make them available to all. And it's another, I'm just going to kind of drop a little idea in there. If we design our learning experience based on the students with the most the most significant needs, then we're probably going to be reaching most students in our class. So if we design based on the accommodations, we're probably going to be hitting everybody. We also learned that PDFs are not always accessible, but there's a step that we can go through to make them accessible. Makes our jobs easier, makes student learning more accessible. We know where to find the OCR tools. We know how to use the OCR tools. And if we forget, we have all the resources here, and you have people available to you to ask for reminders. And if you forget, you can go back and go through all the resources here. So the next question, is there ever a reason to present an inaccessible PDF? And Ross says, no, there's not. It doesn't mean that it won't happen somewhere along the line, but we need to try to use all the best of our abilities, use all of the resources that we have at our fingertips to make our jobs easy, and so that we can not have to create something that we already have. We can convert it, and then students will be able to use it. So I'm going to unshare my screen because I want to be able to address questions also. And are there any questions? Might be better to just pipe in instead of typing them in, and just go ahead and unmute and just ask. Anybody have anything on their mind?
John, I have one. My question was, and just wanted to make sure that I got all of the Google extensions that you guys mentioned. So I think it was the Read and Write extension, and then the PDF text help PDF reader. Were those the two that you suggested?
You also will need Screenshot Reader, and all three of those can be accessed through your Chrome Web Store.
Okay. So Screenshot Reader.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a trio, but they're integrated. And on slide, what is optical character recognition slide? What number is that? There's a link. We created a how-to doc to add the 3 extensions. What is that slide number? I can't really tell here.
For
slide says, what is optical character recognition, has a link to how to add Read and Write for Google Chrome extensions. So you add all 3. That way, Screenshot Reader is another whole thing. If you ever get to text that nothing's working to read it out loud, you literally Screenshot Reader, you click, you draw a box around it, scans it just like that, and then it reads it out loud. So pretty much any text can be recognized, but it's much easier. That's just extra work for people to have to do, and it's a visual motor skill to draw that box around the text. So we're just going to make sure that the things are accessible from the start is really our hope.
All right.
Slide 11. Thanks, Megan. Oh, thank you, Martina. Y'all have been really nice and compliment. Yeah, you popped in that. Yeah, we think it's really important. We weren't sure how interesting it would be. So this is our first doing this. So thank you.
Yes, Brian, did you have a question?
Oh,
Brian?
yeah, please.
Yes, thanks. Hey, I'm trying to download that Adobe Creative Cloud. About how long do you think? Do I need to shut my computer down for it to go through it, or?
Are you on the company portal?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it's in red and it says Adobe CC.
Yes, so I clicked on install and it has a blue arrow pointing down saying downloading, but doesn't have like a progress bar. That's typical, so I just wanted to make sure I was doing the right thing.
Unfortunately, if I had that happen, I would be contacting DDI because that is not my area. But my suggestion to you would be to give it as much time as you think you can afford, and then contact your digital experience specialist. If I'll let you know ahead of time. I got the company portal on my computer, and I'm doing this training today. I don't even have Adobe Creative Cloud on my computer because for some reason it's not available in my portal. I have other things Adobe that are, but I've got an incident report in, and I'm waiting to hear back. So I'm in that same boat of I'm not sure what it actually takes to get it on there, but I'd take as much time as you think you can afford, and then if it doesn't work, it always helps to turn it off and turn it back on, and then give it another shot. And then if that doesn't work after a while, it shouldn't take long.
Okay, great, thank you.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I think it seems to take several minutes to do the big old Creative Cloud, so I guess it depends on internet speed, but there are links. There's a link on slide 13 on how to download it. Again, it's going to have to be updated because it's changing, but that Creative Cloud is a big one, as they say. So it does take time, but if you're not seeing a progress bar, as John said, that means something's wrong there. Christine asked, can you get to the public drive from your home? Yeah, you go to LCPS Go, and at the bottom, and we have instructions on that. If you go to that Read and Write for Windows link, how to get to it. But yeah, if you go to LCPS Go at the bottom, you'll see your options to get to your, I'm not really.
So on slide 14, there is a link to about a 2-minute video created by one of our AT sisters, and she created a video that walks you step by step through how to go through LCPS Go to get Read and Write for Windows 11.5. And we've also provided text instructions so you can have a Google Doc up there to refer to walk you through that. I will also tell you that I went through that process and was not able to get it on my computer. So I've got an incident report for that. But there are, that is the way, if it can be done and if it's working on your computer, the proper instructions are provided. And if you look in that public drive, you can find some other AT resources. So now it's 10:15. It's actually after 10:15, so everybody's got stuff to do. And I just want to thank everybody for participating, and feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions.
Okay, so real quick, the LCPS Go at the bottom, there's two links. One is My Files, and that's how you get to the public drive. But as John said, right now it wasn't working. We've been talking with the tech dudes, and they said we might just move even that Read&Write for Windows to the portal. So stay tuned. And there was a question about which one document's not open, the text instruction one. All right, I'll check on that right now. Thanks for letting me know, Angela. Okay. Do I know which one you're talking about? Yes, ELL. We're talking about kids. Yes, absolutely. The read aloud feature certainly is super supportive for kids with language learners. All right, which one's not open yet? The text instruction document. Angela, which one?
It's on slide 14.
Okay, slide 14. All right, let me go to it right now and I will fix that. Sorry about that. You know, you try to get all the permissions and every once in a while, something's through the cracks. Okay. I'm on it right now. I'm going to the share button.
Can I ask a more content-specific question?
Sure.
Sure.
I'm a fine arts teacher, and I'm wondering if there's a way, I know you talked about editable, like making documents editable so that students can type into them. I'm wondering if there's a way to make music editable so students can like kind of write on music. Is there a possible way to do that with PDF music? So that it's like more freehand than it is like typing into something? Do you know of a program that does that?
So as far as I know, there is something in Adobe that allows you to annotate in a PDF. And if you can turn something, a piece of paper, into a document that can be uploaded into Google Drive. This is a lot, right? Okay, I'm getting ready to go through a lot of little steps here. If you can turn something that's paper into a digital document, then it can be uploaded into Google Drive and then read by Read&Write for Google Chrome. You should be able to annotate on that.
Okay.
So I would say the first thing is I feel like our presentation today kind of gave PDFs a bad name. We were kind of piling on the PDFs, like people are using PDFs, we got to change them. But that might be a really great way to start because now we know how to convert. And if we can convert, then we can annotate over top.
Okay.
And I think the hardest part of that, once you got there, would be able to learn about the annotation features in Read&Write for Google Chrome, right, Cindy? Like all the little pins that you can put in, the text boxes that you can create.
Right. Yes, you can add all kinds of text boxes called the typewriter tool. I'm not really sure about music, but that's something to explore.
Thank you.
I would also urge you to contact your IFT, Rachel. And if you and your IFT together need support, you can contact your SIF AT. That's what Cindy and I are, instructional facilitators for assistive technology.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
One more question Kevin asked about is for the students, are the programs automatically there? No. They have those 3 extensions do have to be added. So you do have the link to that instruction sheet. It's real quick. And once it's there, wherever they log in to their LCPS Google account, those tools will show up. but you have to add it. It's not
Yeah, you have to add it. Some students and some schools have been very active in getting Read and Write for Google Chrome uploaded to their students' computers. For example, sometimes the IFT at the beginning of the school year will sit down in an assembly and just do it, have all the students walk through the process to try to cover a big swath of people in one hit. So some students may already have that on there, and then some may not.
So, hey, hi, Cynthia and John. I apologize. This is Kevin. John recognizes probably my voice. Anyway, so I guess what I wanted to make sure is, and I apologize, we had a lot of connection issues. Where's the sheet of instructions for kids to download it? Because I tried creating my own text PDF reader when, you know, they said that we could use this type of stuff. I'm just kind of curious. Okay, do you guys have a sheet to take me down through it, just so I can make sure, like, if a kid is getting on there, how they go through the steps?
How to add the 3 extensions?
Yes. Can I use the same one that you put on there?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
It's the same
cool.
exact process for staff and
Cool.
students.
Thank
So-
you. In that case, I'm going to use that one because that seems a lot simpler than the one I was using.
Yeah.
And I apologize. It's just that, hey, these
Do
are
not
great.
apologize.
I just wanted to make sure that obviously once the kids got on there, that, hey, look, they can use it. In fact, I'm probably going to make it part of my orientation program. Okay, every single one of you guys downloads the.
On Chromebooks, Kevin, one
Yeah.
time I sat down with the student and I said, okay, we're gonna access your Chrome web store. And I had 3 or 4 slides on what we were getting ready to go through to get it on there. And the student swiped up from the bottom and clicked it. And before I got to the first slide, they were on the Chrome web store. So
Yeah.
if they swipe up from the bottom of their screen, they get a bunch of little icons, and one of them is Chrome web store. They click it and they type in Read and Write.
Okay, cool. Hey, man, thank you guys very much. Again, sorry for coming in late. The
You're
stuff.
good to go, buddy.
Is there going to be and this video is going to be saved somewhere, so if I need to, I can present it to, like, new teachers and stuff like that.
Yes, so I'm recording it, and the Ed Tech department, which is putting on our PD, we're just a couple of the monkeys in the show right now, but they are going to send us they're going to send us the instructions on what to do so that they can then, Ed Tech will make this video available.
Okay. Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And thank you.
All right, sounds good. See y'all later.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Adios.
Thank you.
Welcome, Dana.
Good to see you again and learning more tech from you.
Hey, always learning, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
All right, John, you want to stop recording, I guess? John? Mary Sennett was in. Coolness. All right.